Brace yourselves as this dynamic and fearless chairwoman and owner of Dauntless Pizza steps into the shoes of an undercover employee. Witness the gripping moments when this boss stumbles upon a delivery driver who has a mind-blowing secret approach to earning tips. The tension rises as the truth slowly unveils, leaving her unsuspecting workers stunned and speechless. Stay with us to experience the thrilling twists and turns on Undercover Boss. With a home base in Columbus, Ohio, and grossing over $170 million a year, Donatos is one of the most lucrative pizza chains in the country. And on top of this big empire and its 5,000 employees is Jane Abel. Donatos is a family business that was started by Jane's father 50 years ago. Jane learned the business since she was young and finally took over the business after college. Jane will be going undercover as Kathy, a contestant competing to open up her own restaurant, and her employees will be told that she's on a different reality show. Jane arrives at their campus location in Ohio State University, and she will be working as a delivery driver today, and she meets up with Aaron. Aaron is a delivery driver, and the first moment he sees her, he grows quite fond of her looks. But there's now a more pressing issue going on in the background, and the chain's manager suspects something weird is going on after staring at Jane for a while, and she informs the other employees that Kathy might be Jane Abel. And she also tells them that this might be the show Undercover Boss. Jane watches as they talk and she gets suspicious, and she figures that she might have been found out. But to make sure, she talks to the manager in private, and Jane reveals her true identity and asks the manager to help her with her cover. The manager agrees, and luckily, Aaron hasn't heard any of the rumors. Jane and Aaron pick up their first order and drive to their first customer. Aaron impresses Jane by doing a very good job, and he's polite with the customers, which is one of the mottos of the company. Next is Jane's turn, and she's not really great at this, and she explains that she hasn't delivered in about 30 years. And she progresses throughout the day with Aaron's help. On the drive from their shift, Aaron reveals that he sometimes smokes weed during work, and he explains that he gets invited to smoke when sometimes he delivers to college campuses, and he usually accepts the offer. This shocks Jane, who's been praising him until now. Jane struggles to keep her cool and scolds Aaron for his actions. Jane is angry at Aaron, but isn't sure if she would fire him because he's a very good delivery driver. The next morning, Jane travels to Virginia to work as an assistant manager. She meets with Buffy, who immediately gets to work and starts training Jane on how to make a pizza. Jane has been making pizza her whole life, but she still struggles to keep up with the multiple orders that come at once. Later that day, Jane and Buffy go out for a break, and Jane learns about Buffy's sad past. Buffy used to be a GM in a hotel, but one day she took a birthday party so they can make extra money. She put her assistant to overlook the birthday, but tragically he was shot and killed by a mass shooter. After that, Buffy felt guilty and resigned from her job, and she now lives in a rented house, not even owning her bed, which also made her lose custody of her kids since she wasn't able to provide for them. The next day, Jane travels back to Ohio to work as a cashier. She meets with Kanisha, an upbeat young girl who works as a cashier. Kanisha teaches Jane how the work is done, but it doesn't really go well as she takes a lot of time to take order. The line gets longer and longer in the restaurant because of her, but she does manage to recover and get in some kind of groove, and she manages to pass through the lunch hour. Later, Jane learns that Kanisha's birth mother is in prison, and her younger brother passed away when she was 14. Kanisha now lives with her adopted mom, and she works in the restaurant to help her out. Next, Jane works at a pickup window, and she's trained by Tangi. Tangi's not really a great trainer, but she's a very good employee and she works diligently. Jane's undercover time has now ended, and she's now ready to reveal her true identity to her employees. First it was Aaron, and once he finds out who Kathy really is, he denies smoking the weed, which doesn't really go well for him. Jane tells him that he's fired, but there's another twist. Jane reveals that she's willing to give him another chance if he's able to pass a drug test in 30 days. Aaron appreciates being given a second chance and promises not to let her down. Next was Buffy, and Jane offers her the GM position for Donatos, which gives her a $17,000 raise, and on top of that, Jane gives her a $40,000 check so she can raise her children well, and another $30,000 just for her. And then it was Tangi's turn, and Jane offers to pay her and her mother's bill for a year, and she gives her another $10,000 just for her tuition so Tangi can focus on her school. And last but not least, it was Kanisha, and Jane offers her $50,000 to help with her college tuition and to also set her up for her future life. Kanisha is very grateful, and they end with a big hug. In the weeks since, Aaron has kept his promise and is back to do his job. Buffy is working as a GM and she finally gets to see her kids, and Tangi's planning a vacation to Florida with her mom. Kanisha has also enrolled in a university in Cincinnati. And that is how this episode of Undercover Boss comes to an end.